In the last video, I covered all of the bonus cards that were included in the Japanese vending sheets. However, I neglected to mention one, the unique pass card, Bill's PC. And Bill's PC gets its own video because it has an entire promotional event centered around it, so it is an extra special bonus card. Bill's PC was part of the green sheet, which is Series 3 of the vending series, which also included all of the spoof cards and the deck list cards and extra rule cards that I went over in that last video. And by the artwork, it looks like the special event was taking place on Windows 95, even though this event was in April 1999. The promotion itself was called the Communication Evolution Campaign, and pretty much what you did is you would get an Ammonite, Haunter, Machoke, Graveler, or Kadabra card, and a copy of Bill's PC, and you would mail them together to Media Factory, which is the company that handled the Pokemon TCG back then. It was kind of Japan's version of Wizards of the Coast. And they would mail you back a special promo card that corresponds to whatever Pokemon you sent them. So if you sent them in a Haunter, they sent you back a special Gengar card. I've done a lot of online scrounging around trying to dig up information on this promotion because there's a lot of mysteries still remaining that I would like to know. Like, does it matter what set the Pokemon I send in is from? Can I send in a Fossil Haunter and get the promo Gengar, or does it need to be one of the vending Haunters? Since the campaign was centered around a vending series card in Bill's PC. How many of these promotional trade evolution cards were printed? How many were sent back? I could not find any numbers for this event. Hell, I'd love to know what Media Factory did with all of those Gravelers, Kadabras, Haunters, Machoke, and Ammonite cards that they received. For that matter, why was Ammonite included in this promotion when it doesn't even have a trade evolution? If you're going to put Ammonite in here, at least include Kabuto, because both of those were included in the vending series without evolutions. If anyone has information about these mysteries or answers with some sources, please put them down in the comments section because I would love to know. I've wasted so much time trying to dig through old online forums to figure out exactly how this event was working and what information was available, but there's not a lot. But apparently, the Communication Evolution campaign was very popular and successful, so much so that they included it in the Pokemon Trading Card Game for Game Boy Color sequel, Here Comes Team GR, which included all cards from base to rocket, as well as a lot of Japanese promo cards, and sadly, this game never left Japan, much like the majority of the vending series and the majority of these evolution promo cards that I'm about to talk about. If you go to the game center in this game, you can find the evolution machine, and so it works pretty much the same way where you can insert a compatible card, 20 coins, and a copy of the Bill's PC pass card, and they will mail you in-game the corresponding evolution card. But enough about the campaign, let's get to the cards. So the Japanese name for Bill is Masaki, and so these promos are generally referred to as the Masaki promos. Though these cards have the same set symbol as the vending series and are obtained by using a vending series promotional card, these cards are not part of the vending series themselves, as they're not obtainable from the vending sheets. Because of that, they're printed on the regular cardstock like the majority of the TCG is, instead of the thinner, glossy cardstock that the vending series was printed on. So really, they're just unnumbered promotional cards, which is just a catch-all category for all of the promo cards that were released in Japan that didn't really have their own organizational structure like the Black Star promos did in the West. Sorry for you Omastar fans out there, but I gotta throw some shade at this thing for being where it doesn't belong. The Ammonite is more useful than this card. Tentacle Grip, you know, congratulations, Omastar. You're as good as Bill. Not as good as Professor Oak even. And then 40 damage for 3 water energy on a stage 2 with only 80 HP. And if I flip tails, I can't even use this attack next turn. I have to use that fucking draw power. No, you are not a trade evolution. Get out of here, Omastar. Get. This Gengar, on the other hand, this is a nice card. Just look at that art. So sinister. Is this Gengar walking through cyberspace? What kind of background is that? And its power is the Power of Darkness. Where was this card when I was 14 years old? I would have dug that shit. But really, this Power of Darkness, it can return one of your opponent's Pokemon and all the cards attached to it to their hand. You force your opponent to scoop their own Pokemon. Off of a coin flip, I'll give you, so it's not reliable, but if you're evolving this from the Vending, Ghastly, and Haunter that I talked about in past videos, this is a complete upgrade to your strategy. You force your opponent to stop playing trainers, and then you can force them to return a Pokemon and all the energy, all the trainers attached to it, right back to their hand, leaving you to attack one of the Pokemon that remains with Psy Horror, which only deals 30 damage for 3, which isn't great, but you do get a guaranteed special condition out of it. Or ideally, you have a card like Recall or that Neo Aerodactyl that lets you use prior evolution's attacks. That way you can still just trainer lock your opponent while still having more HP with this Gengar. This Gengar was actually reprinted in another Japanese exclusive set called Pokemon Web, which I talked about a few videos ago in the Game Boy TCG exclusive video. To get packs for that set, you had to order them online through the Japanese Pokemon Center website. So this Gengar was available in 2 different Japanese sets, but both of them were pretty exclusive and hard to come by in their own ways. The same goes for Machamp, which was also reprinted for Pokemon Web, but in this really rare instance, it got reprinted in English as a Black Star promo 3 years later. So if you were playing in a Pokemon League, you could obtain this card in 2002. Why this particular card was chosen or why it was allowed by Media Factory to be picked up by Game Freak and reprinted, who knows? Who can say? Doesn't really matter. This card isn't all that great anyway. Seething Anger is kind of niche in that, yeah, you can deal a lot of damage with Focus Band later on, but there are better ways to do that, like with base set Gyarados and Recall. But really, there's nothing about this Machamp that makes it any better than the base set Machamp or Dark Machamp. So let's talk Masaki promo Golem. Is it better than the Fossil Golem? Yes, it is. Is the art anatomically correct to how Golem is designed? I don't think so, but this Golem card is ahead of its time because its first attack is Rollout, which was not introduced to Generation 2. Gold and Silver had not been released when this card was released. And Rock Blast, its second attack, wasn't introduced until Generation 3. About to rename this boy Time Traveling Golem. But in all seriousness, Rock Blast could be a pretty decent late game attack, especially if you set up your early game with something like Pichu that can spread damage around for a colorless energy, and then you come in with this Golem and use Rock Blast to clean up with 20 damage here and there and take as many prizes as possible off of your opponent's bench. So not a great base fossil card, but it does seem to get better and have some more support as you move into the base Neo metagame. Lastly, we have Masaki promo Alakazam. And if you have watched my What We Missed video on Vending series, you know that Psycho Panic is an amazing counter-psychic attack because essentially you're dealing 120 damage to any psychic type you attack since the majority of psychic types are weak to psychic. It's an amazing attack on Vending series Kadabra and even better on this Alakazam because you have more HP to withstand some hits. And I didn't include this Alakazam in the What We Missed video because this one technically isn't a Vending series card. And there are some great combos you can pull off with something like Black Star Promo Smeargle, where you make all of your opponent's Pokemon Psychic type so that you can sweep them with Psycho Panic. But Trance Damage isn't bad either. It's a great last ditch card, especially moving into base Neo where you can use something like Focus Band and really make sure that this Alakazam is moving up to 80 damage onto your opponent's Pokemon, so that in one move you are completely healing Alakazam of all damage counters and potentially taking a prize card at the same time because of the damage you're dealing to your opponent. Not a lot of attacks in the Pokemon TCG, especially this early on, are going to let you heal your own Pokemon and damage your opponent's Pokemon so much. And discarding those 3 Psychic Energy aren't going to set you back that much, since next turn you can probably just use a Switch or a Double Gust to get it back on your bench to start building energy back up on it. And if you're running this thing with Black Star Promo Mewtwo, it's nice to have those Psychic Energy in the discard. That way you can just swap right into that Mewtwo and get those Psychic Energy out of the discard and onto the Mewtwo. So even with these Masaki promos, which are kind of an extension of the vending series, we still see that the best cards out of it are the 2 Psychic type cards. So I still believe that if we had had vending series, if we had gotten all of these promos instead of just the Machamp, that Psychic type decks would have seen a lot more play and would have had a much larger role in the metagame. I hope that you've enjoyed this trilogy of vending videos. It's a topic that I've been wanting to cover for a while because I find the vending set so interesting, especially when you factor in these promo cards that I just talked about. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite cards have been that I've covered in these 3 videos, as well as any decks you would like to see me cover on the channel based around any of these vending cards. I don't have a lot of physical copies of these vending series cards, but given enough time, I'm sure I could track some down and then come back to this comment section to do some request videos. In the meantime, stay tuned to the channel for some more decks and vintage TCG content. Like, subscribe, share, all that good YouTube stuff that helps out my channel. Go ahead and do it. All that you want. I don't mind. Until next video. Bye.